says she wants to take a break. She needs some time to be alone, to do some work, then see her mom, to clear her mind, to clear her plate. She'll be a couple of weeks at most, a couple of weeks at most. The earth is flat, mermaids swim in the sea. Elvis lives, Bigfoot's behind that tree, and Bethany is coming back to me. I hear she has a few new friends. They meet for drinks at Jimmy's place. There's nothing for me to worry about. It's just a phase, this phase will end. We're all good, we'll be okay. All good, we'll be okay. The earth is flat, mermaids swim in the sea. Elvis lives, Bigfoot's behind that tree, and Bethany is coming back to me. Bethany, 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 Bethany. The earth is flat, mermaids swim in the sea. Elvis lives, Bigfoot's behind that tree, and Bethany is coming back to me. Bethany is coming back to me.
You know, sometimes you just know when it ain't going to work out.
Sometimes you just know. Sometimes you just know.
A little bit of heartache to start the day off, to start the show off with.
Yeah, one of the most sung about feelings in all the world, right? Heartache, heartbreak, the loss of a love. How many songs are written about that?
I don't know. It keeps on selling.
It's a lot.
So I'm Jeremy Burns.
I am Matthew Scott Phillips.
You're listening to Music Student 101.
And this is something of a little tradition of ours. Every 10 episodes, we do a listener compositions episode where you, our listeners, send in some of the stuff that you have written and recorded for us to play on the show and to give feedback and impressions thereupon.
Yeah.
And it's great. We've heard some really, really great stuff over the many times we've done this. We've been doing this very, very long time.
Every 10 episodes, and this is our 7th, so at least 70 episodes.
For 70 episodes, yeah.
This. Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, and what you just heard actually was a song called Bethany by Fred Lancia out of Sammamish, Washington, which is near Seattle. And like you said, what you'll be hearing on this episode is a collection of compositions from you, our listeners. Listeners like Fred.
Yes.
Fred, who we met on episode 126.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He played trombone in junior high, just to catch you guys up. And then he got into old blues music, and then to bluegrass, and eventually into Chris Stapleton. It was the music of our good Chris Stapleton that inspired Fred Lancia to take up songwriting. And here we are. What does Fred have to say about this, Matt?
So this is entitled Bethany, as you said. And Fred says, I realize that people come to music from many different directions and create music using many different approaches. Even though I've casually listened to music most of my life, I don't play an instrument or sing. At least I don't sing very well. About 2017, at the age of 56, I got this crazy idea. At least my wife said it was a crazy idea. to try to learn how to write lyrics for songs. That was the start of my journey to prove her wrong. I started studying whatever I could find about writing lyrics, including taking the online Coursera course, songwriting, writing the lyrics, by Berkeley professor Pat Pattison. I usually start with a title or lyrical hook for the chorus. Then I write the chorus around the title/lyrical hook. Finally, I write the verses, show, don't tell, that support the chorus. All lyrics at this point, no melody or harmony considered. I learned that some recording studios in Nashville would help songwriters bring their songs to life by creating demos. I started engaging with studios by singing lyrics very poorly, a cappella, and sending the written lyrics and a cappella recordings to the Nashville recording studios. The studios arranged the songs and used their outstanding professional studio musicians and vocalists to create demos for me. Since that time, based on much of what I've learned listening to your podcast, I've now acquired Finale music notation software. I'm now able to create melody and harmony using Finale. I then record myself singing lyrics over the Finale output. Bethany is one of those songs. I still work with the Nashville recording studios to create demos, but by using Finale, I'm able to give the recording studios much better direction for creating demos. Another thing about my songwriting process, I write and rewrite many, many times, sometimes over months or years. Since July 23, when I sent you the link for Bethany on SoundCloud, I've worked with a different Nashville studio to create a different version of the song retitled Back to Me. Regarding this song, I look back at my notes and realize I started this song in November 2017. Wow.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. In 2017.
You know, I started to make it a practice to put dates in my... I have all these notebooks. Every year I have a new song notebook, you know?
Right.
And I've tried to make a practice out of actually putting the actual date that I started the song, you know, on the top of the page, you know? And I think that's a good thing to do because it kind of shows you your own progress over time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I should probably start doing that. I'm pretty good about putting down the year, but yeah, not the literal date when I start. And usually, and I'm pretty good about the date when I finish, but yeah, the date when I start is kind of a mystery.
Oh, well, they're equally important, but I almost think the finish date might be more important.
Yeah.
But we digress.
As always. Beautiful little song. I wouldn't have thought this was a Finale sounds.
No, actually, he did his demo in Finale, and what he did was he sent this off to
and then he sent it off
Nashville.
to Nashville. Okay.
So I'm sure it comes at a price.
I'm sure it does.
But it sounds like he got what he paid for.
Yeah.
You know, he says he started with the piano for harmony and viola on this melody. So we're gonna have all the music that the composers give us on the website, and you will see where there's a bass clef and then there's all of a sudden a C clef on the top stack. The viola explains that, right? And he just wanted to do this to establish chords, which he did with the piano, and then the melody itself with viola.
Right.
And he says that he always does this in C major. He does major songs in C, he does minor songs in A minor. And then later on, he transposes
them to whatever key he wants.
via the software, whichever one fits his, vocal range.
Right.
So he did this demo in C, and then he sent it off to studio, and they just cranked it up a whole step to D.
Okay.
And so maybe that was done to work to help the singer, the actual recording artist.
Quite possibly, yeah.
Anyways, he knew he wanted the chorus to end with a 5-1.
A perfect, authentic cadence?
Mm-hmm. So he started and worked backwards, is what he says. So let's see here. For the verse, kind of he hung around in 4 mostly. So say we're in the key of D,
Yeah.
Ugh. She says she wants to take a break. She needs some time to be alone.
Is that 4?
Yep, starts off on the 4. To clear her mind, to clear her place, she'll be a couple of weeks at most.
And back to 1.
Yeah, and back to 1. And then the change up, there's he does kind of explore these other chords, like in the chorus you got the 3 going to 4. So the earth is flat, mermaids swim in the seas. And then on the turnaround you have Bethany, which is 3-2, is coming back. That's your 5 to me.
Circle of 5th progression of the cadence, then 2-5-1.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, good stuff. So it sounded like that F sharp minor part was going like 3 to 4 maybe.
Yep.
I and then so sort of chordal planing, right?
Yeah.
And then down to 2 to start the circle of fifths sequence.
Yeah, I guess it's that little chorus part. It's like, the earth is flat. What was it? Mermaids swim in the seas. And then at one point it stays on the...
I love those lyrics. The earth is flat, mermaids stay in the seas. There's Bigfoot behind that tree, and Bethany will come back to me.
Yeah. So
all clearly things that we have trouble believing. I feel like some poor Fred is going to be the victim of somebody having no sense of metaphor at some point, right? And they're going to mistake the song for him actually advocating for belief in Bigfoot.
All these conspiracy
which he's not
theories.
doing, right? But people.
They'll take it. Some people love a good conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
I'm an old school conspiracy theorist. So Bigfoot, yeah, all day
Bigfoot,
long.
yeah.
Some politician coming back from the dead. I don't know.
Yeah. Poor Fred is going to have to explain to people that he does not believe the earth is flat, and
Hey, a fun fact about this song. Bethany, the name. Initially, the song was the lyrics was "She is coming back to me." Mm-hmm. I think he wanted to use a woman's name, so he went through a whole list of different names, as you might do.
Yeah.
He kind of landed on Bethany because it was named after one of the characters of Yellowstone. Do you ever watch Yellowstone?
No.
There's a character, Beth Dutton, and her name is Bethany originally. So this is not the actress, is the character.
Right.
I haven't seen Yellowstone, but
Me either.
fun fact.
I don't watch a lot of TV.
Can't say I do either.
There you go. There's another strike for my general not with itness.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
So some other things about this. I asked if he wanted to credit the studios and musicians, and he said that he very much wanted to, but apparently you need permission from the studios to credit the musicians. In this case, like I said, he comes up with a thing, sends it off to Nashville, and these people really polish it up and produce it.
Right.
Also, some of these musicians are associated with other acts and may not want their names associated with all of these demos that they do.
Yeah.
And they might not agree with the message, and they might not think it's a great song. Either way, you can't take that personally,
Right.
I worked on quite a few shoots that I wasn't very proud of having my name on. Yeah. But I think that they would be proud to have their name on this one. And all that to say that Pearl Snap Studios out of Nashville is proud to say that they produced this lovely song that Fred wrote.
Excellent. And it's a beautiful song, too.
So go back and listen again. Remember where we are on the time code and come back to us. And like we say on every one of these shows, or we recommend headphones.
Absolutely.
When you got a good set of headphones in, you can really appreciate the stereo field and probably hear more things than you would just mowing your lawn or sitting there with your iPhone,
This time in particular, yeah.
Definitely. So, yeah. Great job, Fred. Beautiful music.
Indeed.
And you can find Fred Lancia on SoundCloud as Frederick2. That's FREDERICK 2.
Very nice.
Right. So let's move on, shall we?
Let's do.
Next, we have Mark Christie from Dunfermline, Scotland.
Dunfermline.
We've had problems with this one before. So this is called Organic Music.
Okay.
And here we go. What do you think, Matt? I saw you smiling a lot over there.
Yeah. This thing's going through some interesting keys.
Yeah?
So I do have the score in front of me, dear listeners. I'm not quite that good.
Yeah.
But yeah, some interesting stuff going on here. So it keeps coming back to this C minor theme, right? It's sort of the main theme that it digresses from and returns to.
Ba-na-na-na.
Yeah,
That thing.
and it that kind of reminds me of sort of like the Baroque ritornello idea, right?
Oh yeah.
Where you have the A B A C A D A E A,
Aha.
right? Kind of thing, and which is stylistically appropriate. We often think of Baroque music as being associated with the organ. Especially this kind of organ piece, right, with the plenum sound, the big, huge church organ sound that has the sort of toccata and fugue Bach feel to it, right?
So this is the theme that they return to, right?
Yeah.
That same kind of melody. That's not exactly it, but that's the one you're going to keep on kind of returning to. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The first iteration of it is at sort of about the 50-second mark.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it returns to that a lot. A lot of crazy sevenths in here. And again, I'm looking at the score. My ears are good, but they're not that good.
He mentions the sevenths, and something else he did mention was that if you guys are listening or checking on the website where you see this score, he mentions that some of his intervals might have been actually impossible or very difficult. This was MIDI, I think. But.
Yeah, try to keep things under a tenth. Right? I actually really try to keep things under an octave. Things that are all played on a single hand. Right. Try to keep things under an octave.
Yeah, right.
For most people, Rachmaninoff could do a major tenth. But
check out the fingers on him.
Yeah, really. So, but that notwithstanding, the sevenths are very fascinating to me because they are sustained in so many cases. So the sevenths at the beginning are sort of just seven chords, right? Major, like one major seven. So this is kind of outside of traditional tonal function with things like that. A little bit. This is more sort of 20th century tonality.
Not a lot of major seven chords in Baroque music.
Or
no, huh? Okay.
No. Dominant sevens, sure. Yeah. 1/7, almost. Yeah. We're almost taught not to even write that, right?
Yeah. That's a little more jazzy, huh?
Yeah, we're almost taught to just call that 5/7 or 4. But what really fascinates me is the leading tones that are sustained so the leading tone is held while the melody moves on to the note that is resolved to. So you get the leading tone and its resolution, a minor second apart, being played together. Like that happens in the first that happens in that main theme in the with a B natural being held, B natural half note, followed by C. Right, yeah.
Yeah. I can hear those little tense moments for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's really it's a really interesting technique. What else? The modulation to A flat minor. Before we got A flat minor, though, I think I saw. Maybe D flat, a minor, something like that.
There was
or F minor rather. Saw that F minor. I'm just scanning this page now. Definitely a fascinating little return down to the A flat minor, sort of in the middle, sort of almost like that romantic flat six tradition, right?
Yeah.
A flat being the flat six of C, which is where we started, right? Yeah. So this is something that would happen a lot. Move down to the minor six and create it as a key area.
Yeah.
But like that's a romantic era thing, where like the ritornello is a Baroque era thing. So there's some chronological mixture. Would you call that? Yeah.
Yeah, covering a lot of
Covering
eras.
Absolutely, yeah, and covering a lot of ground, covering a lot of musical ground, for sure.
Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about Mark. Mark Christie from Dunfermline, Scotland. We first met him on a recent episode, actually, 128, right? But to recap, Mark is a math and computing science teacher at a high school in Dunfermline, Scotland, which is south of Auchtermuchty and north of Couris.
I remember this.
He said you did a pretty good job trying to pronounce those names, by the way, Matt.
Thanks.
In a follow-up.
Thanks. Wait till he hears how bad I mess it up this time.
Yeah, right? I took the pressure off. I'm the guy that's going to say it. I'll take the heat. So he's in his mid-30s, and he says while he loves tech, he probably would have enjoyed teaching music. His maternal grandparents sang bass and soprano in choir. His paternal grandmother played piano. So he grew up around music. And he also learned that his great-grandfather played concert violin for some of those, from some of the silent movie theaters back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
And he had a hard-to-please violin teacher tell him that maybe music wasn't for him.
I remember that. I remember this story.
Fast forward today, he's having his piece featured on Music Student 101.
Excellent work.
This piece does not sound like it was conceived by one for whom music is not. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
What does Mark have to say about it, Matt?
Mark says, this year I passed my ABRSM grade 5 music theory and I'm working towards grade 3 piano. In case you don't have it in America, the ABRSM, Associate Board of Royal Schools of Music, are a music examination body that cover music theory, ear training, and musical performance. We actually do have it here.
I
don't think it's as widely utilized here as it is across the pond, but we do have, like, we do know about their standards over here, the ABRS, the Royal School of Music.
I see.
Certainly.
I've never heard of it, but then I'm not in academia to the extent that you are.
Right. Yeah, it saddens me to have heard of it. They have grades from 1 to 8, beginner to advanced, as well as offer diplomas post grade 8. In the UK, to my knowledge at least, they're probably the most common musical education syllabus. That's what's not true over here. They're not that. Anyway. Standardized, right. When it comes to listening to music, I like most things. I found that when I'm programming that synthwave, especially music by Scandroid and Arcade High, and adjacent genres help focus the mind. I also found that the more music theory I learned, the less I could passively listen to classical music. Favorite composer would be Bach, but I've certainly grown partial to Prokofiev and Stravinsky.
I love them too, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I know what he means too. It's kind of a loss of innocence when you learn about music theory. It becomes difficult to sort of passively listen to sort of, well, listen to this pretty music. Now you know there's all this stuff going on in your head when you listen to.
We talked about that before.
We did, yeah.
Does it take away from the enjoyment though?
Not to me.
I don't think so.
Not to me. If anything, maybe I enjoyed it in a different way. But if anything, I think I enjoy it more. Mm-hmm. Because I can catch all the little fascinating little things that's going on, right?
Become more intimate with it.
Exactly. Mark continues, I'm quite the folk music fan too. Talisk, Blazing Fiddles, Bria Bach, and Julia Fallis has a great voice. I also play Dungeons and Dragons, so I'm always looking for medieval-ish tavern-sounding music to suit the game. In keeping with my nerdiness, I also really like both Song of Durin and When the Hammer Falls by Clamavi de Profundis, a group whose repertoire seems to be all the songs from the Lord of the Rings books.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
I just finished The Hobbit recently.
It was on this morning and we were watching The Hobbit. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. Look at that. I'm very new to the DAW space, DAW being Digital Audio Workstation, Pro Tools, Ableton.
Home studio kind of.
Right, yeah. So used MuseScore to write it, and then replaced the MIDI sounds with better ones from the DAW on my computer. I wrote it during COVID when I needed something to focus on. It started out as a musical sketch covering seventh chords, which became the introduction. Its title comes from the fact that it evolved organically through different forms over its life since lockdown. I was processing the lockdown experience and playing with dissonant chords. Spending time watching music theory videos to keep myself sane led me to playing with chromaticism and new musical concepts. There's a Neapolitan chord to modulate, for example. Look at that.
Maybe that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, you'll end up tritone away. As well as pivot chords and notes in some cases, but while it started off as a study on my emotional processing through living alone during the lockdown, it took on another evolution post-lockdown when I was able to play Dungeons & Dragons again and wanted a soundtrack for a villain. The two ideas are blended throughout the piece to the point where there are sections that to me feel emotionally raw and other parts where I can see an evil vampire plotting the demise of a party of adventurers.
Now that he puts it that way, it kind of...
Yeah, what is it with organ music and vampires? That seems to be a real thing, a real association, doesn't it?
It sure does. Maybe it's the church thing.
Maybe so.
But why would a vampire be in church?
Exactly.
You think that
maybe it's just an ancient thing. Maybe organs being the first real musical instrument in Europe. Maybe. Oh
yeah, maybe that was the first stuff that the vampires heard.
Yeah, or something. Or maybe the vampire legend comes from like the late Renaissance, early Baroque, or something. You know, who knows? And
they live forever, but the music that they liked back in the day, they just stuck with. They're not like Lestat getting into punk rock and all that stuff.
Yeah, well, you know, I don't know. All these little... there's a Russian theorist that would call that an intonatsia, something that sort of brings to mind an extra musical idea, like organ music calling to mind vampires. You know? He was more of an aestheticist than a theorist, but a lot of his stuff was really... really fascinating. You should go back and read some of that again.
Well, knowing now what we know about this.
Indeed.
Why don't we give it another listen?
Sure.
With our banter.
With banter.
This is Organic Music by Mark Christie out of Dunfermline, Scotland.
C minor major 7.
Minor major 7. Wow. Would you call this kind of an intro? What would you call this? This little section here.
Intro.
Intro, yeah, me too. We emerge from our coffins. Welcome everyone to the Vampire Mass.
Listen to that major 7 in a minor chord.
Crazy. Now here's the main theme, right?
Yep.
That we keep on returning to. Now this is 4/4.
Yeah.
So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Of course, this is the repeat. Man, I really love the power of a full organ.
Still C minor.
I noticed earlier he had some measures of like 4/1. 4 whole notes per measure.
So that sort of sounds F minor or majorish to me.
Yeah, I feel like we lifted up a little bit right there. So this is just a different theme. Back to the ritornello.
And back to the original key.
And then repeat.
Mm-hmm.
You He's starting to introduce some more higher notes in the right hand.
Yeah.
Really shiny.
That main theme has a giant sort of octave jump there into the high registers.
Now we have a little change up here. Maybe this is what's setting up for the modulation that's about to happen.
So we're in... That sounds like A harmonic minor. That's an A harmonic minor descent.
Yeah, or A flat harmonic minor? Or no?
No, A. A natural.
Wow.
That's A flat.
Now we're in A flat minor.
Yes.
From C minor to A flat minor. That's quite a leap.
Yeah, that's quite a leap.
But he pulled it off. I mean,
I wonder if that's his Neapolitan chord that he's talking about. A would be technically A natural would technically be the Neapolitan in A flat, right?
yes, yes. Now we have a measure of 3/4. And then we're back into common time right now. A lot
With
of
the theme.
A lot of time changes. Yeah, back to the original theme. Interesting metering here. Main theme again. Now we're in 4/1. Hear that pulsing he's doing?
Yeah.
Pretty cool. And then in on a big fat C minor chord, right?
Right.
Back on a 1 chord. Yeah, I like the way he was kind of using this kind of pulsing chords to provide a little bit of a rhythm to it. You know, almost like breathing or kind of pulsing rhythm, you know?
Yeah, it's the advantage of consistent rhythmic figures, right? I mean, the rhythmic values are almost as important as the note values for constructing, good musical phrases.
Right. Especially with something like the organ.
Right.
It's just all one, like
it can start to sort of sound like a wash if you're not careful.
To me, an organ already kind of sounds like a wash. Like I have a hard time hearing notes like a chord qualities with an organ because there's so many overtones and so much different stuff going on, you know.
It can get crazy, especially the big church organ sound that we associate. That's the plenum sound, right? An organist would tell you that is sort of the sound of all the pipes playing. And that's why it sort of is there's a lot of overtones, there's a lot of partials and things in that sound, you know. There are simpler organ sounds that are easier for me, like just it's like flute stops, basic string stops.
Exactly.
But we all like the big Dracula sound. So
yeah, it took me back. There's this cathedral called St. Paul's Cathedral here in Birmingham, and it has one of the biggest organs.
That thing's beautiful.
But before we go to church, the organist, a guy named Cal Shank, was up there doing that kind of stuff when we would be walking in. I was like, this is funny because we're walking into church, but it does feel like Phantom of the Opera kind of sinister organ music.
Yeah.
Anyway, Mark Christie, fantastic job.
Great work. Fascinating little organ piece.
Thank you for sharing. That was beautiful.
Indeed.
Well done. Be proud. Be proud.
Excellent.
Excellent. Okay. Next up, we have Evan Bjork.
Evan Bjork.
Out of Minnesota.
Okay.
This song is called The End.
Do I have the score for this?
There is no score for this one.
Okay.
As of this recording session. As of this recording date.
Session. Okay.
But here we go.
Wow, how relaxing.
Yeah, then the slow fade out.
Yeah, gotta love a slow fade out.
Yeah. Very pretty.
Yeah.
Very relaxing. I felt relaxed.
So, it's a little bit after My Own Heart, or at least a part of My Own Heart, to do something that is minimalist like this.
Uh-huh.
Right? Where you have the same drum beat and a simple melodic pattern sort of repeating over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
If you've never tried to write music like that, you think, oh, well, that sounds easy. I'm here to tell you, it is actually very hard to finally craft such a piece of music, because it has to be the exact right length, your melody. Mm-hmm. You have to repeat it in exactly the right number of times with exactly enough space in between. You know, I like the way he sort of, that main piano melody is sort of, it plays and then there's a certain amount of space that's just sustained chords, mm-hmm. right? And before it plays again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's given us a chance to sort of, you know, not just get beat over the head with this melody, but give it more like this feel of sort of a breeze that kind of floats by every now and then, you know, rather than something that's hammering that we're being hammered over the head with all of the time. You know?
Yeah,
it's interesting way to space, you know, and an interesting way to make a song that uses a minimal amount of musical material interesting.
Yeah.
You know, and it kind of on after My Own Heart in a lot of ways. Some of my compositions more recently have been sort of exploring more of that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So yeah, this is kind of right up my alley. I like it a lot.
A lot of the bumper music for this podcast is really kind of that, you know.
Yeah.
But I always like to keep it simple because I want people to be able to kind of know what's going on, but also be able to hear what Mike is saying, you know, the announcer at the beginning and all that stuff.
Right, yeah.
But this kind of music could easily lend itself to that kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Just relaxing.
Yeah.
Music. Let's talk a little bit about Evan Bjork, shall we?
Okie dokie.
Okay, so Evan Bjork is a 20-year-old composer out of Minnesota. Mm-hmm. And he's been composing his own music since he was about 13 years old with FL Studio.
Wonderful.
So 7
He used to be
years
called
now.
Fruity Loops.
Is that what that was from?
Yes.
Okay, I was wondering about
Fruity
that.
Loops became FL Studio at some point when they decided to go serious.
They go from serial to serious.
Yeah.
He feels like his ears have advanced well beyond what we are hearing in this track, you know?
Yeah.
Which ain't that bad in the first place, if you ask me.
Oh, sure, it's great.
What does Evan have to say to that?
So Evan says, this podcast showed me all the answers I've needed for anything music-related and more.
Woo!
It's also inspired me to pursue music in a more professional direction, and I can't thank you enough. I've been addicted, and I'm constantly listening, and my girlfriend gets annoyed when I tell her a bunch of theory at the end of the day. That's us. Music Student 101, annoying girlfriend since, like, 2017.
Most of them. We'll learn about one later on, though, who's not so annoyed.
So he says, she and I work in a clean room environment with loud machines, so I wear my headphones and I have plenty of time to listen to whatever I want. I want to share a song of mine called The End. It's just an instrumental piece that drew lots of inspiration from Enigma's Callous Went Away with some super detuned 80s synths. I heard that towards the beginning there, yeah. The super detuned. I actually kind of like that. They were significantly detuned, but it was kind of it was a neat effect.
Yeah.
Let me know what you think of this song and if anything catches your ear.
Well,
so, yeah.
Okay, so this song is in A minor, and really it just goes back and forth, unless I'm hearing it wrong, to A minor to E minor.
That sounds right.
Minor 5.
Yeah.
And then at some point there's a little bit of a build-up, and you're going to hear this major 5 right before the change-up. So listen for that. But for the most part, and then towards another little change-up, you're going to hear what we call the Andalusian cadence, where we're kind of going from minor 1 to 7 to 6, you know?
Yeah. It's pretty classical.
So listen out for that, too.
Yeah.
So one more time, shall we?
One more time.
This is The End by Evan Bjork out of Minnesota. So for one thing, I kind of like it when this little atmosphere thing we're bringing us in, kind of starting with rain.
Yeah.
That lends itself to relaxation.
Maybe that's what got us thinking that to begin with.
I kind of want to take a couch nap.
I could definitely go for a couch nap.
So we're kind of this little intro setting the scene, you know?
Is this... Yeah, this is A minor and E minor, right? 1 to 5.
Yeah, we got the A minor. Boom. Going to E minor, which is a minor 5.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, there's kind of a melody happening in a kind of distant voice.
Yeah. I would call that melodic material.
Melodic material. Okay, very good.
All over one chord, right?
Yeah, I think this is all A minor.
Yeah.
Some more background soft melodic material and a different sound.
Yeah. And this is now A minor over E, so we've gone back to that.
E minor, yeah, I think. Big build-up, right?
Yeah.
There's our
That's E
5.
major.
Yeah, E major.
Major 5.
But that was just a tease, because we're mellowing back out. I like these warm pads.
Yeah.
This is
And this is the Andalusian cadence part, right? 1, 7, 6.
Yep. I guess it doesn't walk back up. 7, 6, 7, 1. So they establish that little chord progression.
Yeah.
And then embellish it with another texture.
Philip Glass used to do this.
Love me some Philip Glass.
Detuned 80s keyboards.
That's the detune sound you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I know. Okay.
Yeah.
The higher patch.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. What's going on? Piano solo.
That's what's going on.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah. Still the Andalusian cadence chords, right?
Mm-hmm. Now the piano is taking the rhythm part.
Yeah. It's interesting how it sounds like there's actually a lot going on.
Uh-huh.
You know, we think about it as so relaxing and so simple, but there's actually a lot of timbral experimentation going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even if the notes are, this is the same Andalusian progression and everything, but we've heard acoustic piano, we've heard warm pads, we've heard detuned sounds. You know, we hear kind of an 80s synth lead right now.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, there's actually a lot timbrally going on in what is, totally a quote-unquote simple piece.
Totally, yeah. I like those 2 solos at the end.
Yeah.
I might could have taken a few more measures of each of those.
Yeah, no kidding.
Very well executed. Good musicianship. And now, the rain comes back.
I love it being the rain bookending the 2.
Yeah, yeah. And we fade it in.
Yeah.
Or we're fading out into the rain. So there you have it.
So there you have it. Beautiful.
Evan Bjork. Great job. Great job.
I'm going to listen to that on the next rainy day that I have at home.
Yeah, if it's sunny outside and you feel like you want a rainy day, just put in The End by Evan Bjork.
There you go.
Couch nap ready anytime. Beautiful piece. Thank you so much, Evan.
Thank you so much, Evan.
Well
Keep
done.
up the good work.
Absolutely. Okay. Now we have a listener, Tom Richardson.
Tom Richardson.
Tom Richardson is out of Plymouth, England.
And Tom wrote Polyamateur.
Which we were checking out before we started this episode.
Yeah, so let's give that a listen. Wow. Polyamateur. First of all, can we talk about the title? Because that's pretty fascinating. I love that title. So I'm wondering if he means like, so obviously polyamateur is a play on something. I wonder if it's a play on like polyphony, like polyphonic.
Possibly.
Because this piece has some very obvious polyphonic elements. Maybe not obvious, but definitely suggestive of polyphonic elements. Could it be a play on like polyamorous, but polyamateurish? Like,
Okay, I see.
Like, I'm just fascinated with the title. I want to know more.
Or polyrhythms.
Or polyrhythmic. Yeah, there's that too. So yeah, I'm just very, very curious about the title and I want to know more about that.
Well, I believe it's time to do so.
Okay.
Tom Richardson is in his early 40s, and he hails from Plymouth, England, as I said.
Yes.
Having been in punk rock bands for most of his life, he wanted to get more into orchestral pieces.
Great
Did this
start.
sound like it came from a punk rock guy to you, Matt?
I can kind of see it.
You never? Yeah, actually, there's a little bit of to it.
Yeah, I can kind of see it. There's a little bit of punkishness to it.
Well,
It's subtle, but
he has graciously credited us for helping move him in that direction. So what does Tom have to say, Matt?
Tom says, I've been making music since I was 16 in various punk and rock bands, but in the last 10 years have also been group composing soundtracks for silent films. Oh, nice. In my project, The Imperfect Orchestra, where we write and perform live original scores to locally made films, as well as some silent classics like Battleship Potemkin and the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. So Battleship Potemkin, Shostakovich wrote a score to that silent film once.
Oh, see, I'm not familiar with that one.
I'm pretty sure.
Are you familiar with the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari?
No, I'm not familiar with that one.
That was one of the first impressionist movies. I think it was German, and it had like really surreal kind of set decoration. And one of the main characters in it was this guy who was like he sleepwalked or something like that, but he looked like the Crow. I think he was like the inspiration for Edward Scissorhands' The Crow kind of thing. It's
wow.
a really cool character. But anyways, that was a silent movie. So I love the idea that people in modern time are orchestrating music for silent film.
Yeah.
An interest in that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, it's part of our musical tradition at this point, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
The first people to play piano in front of movies, right? In front of silent movies, they would hire a pianist or organist or something to sit in the theater and sort of play along. And this is where you get the diminished chords playing when the devil's not the devil, but the villain is twisting. Yeah, twisting his mustache because he's got the damsel tied to the railroad tracks, kind of stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And then these people all had scores from Wagner and Liszt sitting around in their brains, right? Mm-hmm. And that's from where it evolved. So the classical component of film score has always been there.
Yeah.
And it's one of the last great vestiges of orchestral music that's still thriving, right? Is these film scores. So yeah, I'm with you. It's great to hear that people still do that.
Especially live.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We digress.
Yes, we do.
Tom continues. I present to you my first real solo composition for an ensemble of strings and woodwind/horns. Polyamateur was my attempt to get creative with the idea of polymeters. There's my answer. Yeah,
I knew it because I read it ahead of time.
There you go. Polymeters in a melodic sense. I've always loved minimalism and polyrhythms/meters and wanted to write something that satisfied those two fascinations. I started composing this over 3 years ago as my first true solo composition. One of my favorite film scores is Michael Nyman's work on The Dropman's Contract, and you will hear a lot of that influence in Polyamateur, mostly in my choice of instrumentation, but there's clearly some Glass influence there too. Polyamateur started as a simple ticking violin pizzicato line upon which I developed various interlocking patterns and melodies. These are all in the first movement, but are building blocks for what comes in movement 2 that we're listening to here. This pizzicato appears a number of times to keep the energy of the piece going. Movement 2 contains the truest polymetric material with a strong 3/2 polyrhythmic feel, where phrases of different lengths interplay with each other. My composition teacher also presented me with a challenge because I was feeling like the piece was stuck in an infinite loop that I couldn't escape. He said to try and delay returning to the one chord for as long as I could and see where it took me. C bars 201 to 219. So 19 bars? Oh, come on. You can just stay away from the one longer than that.
Well,
Tom.
now, actually, what we're hearing is only a half of the piece.
Oh, that's true, too. Yeah, all right.
We're considering this movement, too, and I'll explain that later on.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll reserve judgment then. Your podcast really helped me here, too, learning about secondary dominance, borrowed chords, types of cadence, and all manner of other things. You might be able to see that Polyamateur is somewhat a sketchbook of things I was learning along the way.
Isn't that cool?
If I came across a cool idea, it probably went in there somewhere. Then, of course, the totally ostentatious key change for no reason other than it needed a big lift into the final section. I also had help in refining the orchestration and the score itself from my good friend and excellent composer Simon Dobson, which really helped elevate the piece from being stuck within the stave and will hopefully make life a lot easier for performers. Good luck to the Plymouth University Orchestra who have agreed to take this piece on for their summer concert.
Oh, isn't that great?
That is wonderful. That is amazing.
Send us a recording of that, Tom.
Please do. So maybe now the name makes a bit more sense. Absolutely. Portmanteau of polymeter and amateur. The version you're listening to was created by me using MuseScore, Logic, and the Chris Hines series of orchestral libraries. The radio edit is movement 2 with an additional borrowing of the opening bars from the full piece, just because I wanted to.
Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
I guess we'll just go ahead and listen to it again then, shall we? And then talk about it.
Because that would honestly be easier because I want to point out some of the poly stuff and some of the more interesting kind of things going on here because it's not always polyrhythmic.
And I want to say that I don't do a good enough job about saying this, but I'll go ahead and say it now. Usually we try and ask our listeners to send in compositions that are maybe 5 minutes tops. Pushing it a bit at 6 minutes, but this original composition was closer to 10 minutes. Yeah. And I was like, I want to use it, but then it's kind of unfair I want to give everyone equal time.
Right.
I don't know if it's unfair or not. That's just me. You know what I mean? Right. But either way, so he was actually cool enough to find where there was a kind of a break in the middle. I see. Which this could be considered the second movement. So what you're going to hear, this first little part is going to be just a remnant from the first movement. Excellent. Piece. Okay. So without further ado, this is Polyamateur Second Movement by Tom Richardson. Now this material here is reprised from earlier in the piece, like I said. And then these little pizzicato violins just kind of set the mood, kind of begin our journey. Okay, now you're going to have these voices. You're going to have the flute in the center, the oboe on the right, and the bass clarinet on the left. Check it out. This is a great one for stereo, by the way, for headphones. Yeah.
I hear the Philip Glass influence in the intro for sure.
I hear birds in the trees having conversation.
Yeah.
They're like, what's going on? You see those men down there marching? Where are they off to? What fresh hell is this? It's kind of a sinister little groove on the low end, you know? Kind of a sinister boogie. Building energy.
Yes.
Now is this some of the polyrhythms?
Syncopated rhythms.
Syncopated
for sure.
But that pizzicato is on it, right?
Yeah.
The other parts are off.
Right.
Yeah.
Key of G minor, by the way.
G minor. I love those little counter melodies. Coming at you from all different directions.
Yeah.
There's this kind of theme that keeps coming back a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of the melodic. It's almost like an S theme in a sonata form.
Yeah, okay, yeah. But it kind of goes from this modal feel to a jazzy almost kind of feel, right?
Love that flute.
Oh yeah. All these voices are doing cool things, and you really have to take a few passes to get an idea of what's going on. That little...
Yeah.
That one keeps coming back, right?
Yeah. And it's sustained and elongated this time where it was in staccato notes before, right?
Okay. I'm feeling it's like we're setting up for modulation or something like that. But does it?
But does it? That sort of almost polymeter too. It feels like the accent has changed, right?
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, on top of...
Yeah, there's a lot of times where I lose count trying to keep up because of the syncopations.
Yeah.
Tricky. It's like we went from this kind of war march to this kind of like flowery, kind of daydreamy
march,
avant-garde sachet.
Yeah. But that sort of that semi-sinister minor melody still looking around, right?
Yeah. I love his choice of instruments and how rich and smooth they all blend together, you know?
Yeah.
It's a very cool sound overall. It's really kind of pleasing.
Absolutely. I'll be interested to see. So this is a small orchestra, right? This is a chamber orchestra, basically.
Yeah, I'm seeing what was it? Flute, oboe,
trombone, bass, clarinet.
Violin.
Maybe just one French horn and then strings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so pretty small chamber orchestra kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to have a very Stravinsky-esque feel, I think, when it gets played live.
Aha.
Which is going to be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People might not storm out like they did Stravinsky. 'Cause
let's hope not.
We're more used to that kind of.
I mean, it's been almost a century. Been over a century. Maybe we've calmed down a little bit.
Yeah. When I was saying that thing about being a punk rocker, I mean, I could kind of hear the don't that kind of that force, that kind of aggression a little bit at the beginning of it.
Yeah.
But then it just kind of all started to spill and mellow out. You know, it's very interesting.
Yeah. It did kind of slow down and mellow out, didn't it?
In a strange way. In strange ways.
Yeah. I like the guts and courage of a composer who doesn't have to feel like they have to end the piece with the material they began with.
Mm-hmm.
Because that borders on cliche to me sometimes.
Yeah.
But then you think, well, what else are you going to do, right? So this is one possible answer to that question.
Yeah, you don't want to be too predictable, especially in this genre of music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bluegrass, blues, that kind of stuff all day long. You're going to start on usually one chord and on a one chord.
Right,
you know,
yeah.
At predictable times and whatnot. But this just keeps it interesting, you know? It's almost like I wish I had more to say while we were playing it just then, but I was still just kind of like...
I was busy counting.
I was just, my mind was just going to all these different... Oh, what's that over there? What's this over there? Oh,
yeah.
Like, you know.
And that's the Stravinsky element to me. It sounds a little Rider Spring-ish. With the winds doing the... Especially in the beginning, right?
That chirpiness.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one I thought was the bird conversation. Again, you would appreciate that with the stereo, with a set of headphones, a good set of headphones.
Absolutely.
Bloop, bloop, left, bloop, bloop, right.
Right,
bloop,
yeah.
Left. It was really cool. The way you spaced them out.
Yeah. Definitely get out the headphones for that one.
Good stereo field there, Tom.
Excellent. So what's next?
Okay, now we have a listener, Nikita Menkov from Estonia.
Ooh.
This is called Waltz for Broken Toys.
I like it already.
Yeah, right? I think you did something about Cold Comfort of Toys.
I did do something like that, yeah.
Got the
so
toys.
there you go.
Broken toys, no less. So let's see how this goes. Again, this is Waltz for Broken Toys by Nikita Menkov. Wow.
I like that.
Speaking of silent film, can't you see that thing like
Absolutely.
or maybe like Curb Your Enthusiasm, Larry David's kind of leaving his house for the day. What could go wrong, right?
I was actually kind of thinking of like one of those French Art Nouveau films. It sounds very French to me.
Right, yeah, me too.
I was thinking, Debussy, I think, or you mentioned Satie, somewhere along in those realms.
Yeah.
With the very subtle dissonances, right? The very subtle seconds in things that are happening in between the ostinato in the left hand and the melody in the right during the waltz sections.
Yeah,
right?
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say there was no click track involved for this track, right?
Maybe not.
He's swinging the tempos and the rhythms around a pretty good bit.
Yeah.
Some nice little slow down moments and really, really great performance, by the way. We'll talk about that as well.
Absolutely.
But let's talk about this composer, huh?
Yes, let's do.
We met Nikita Menkov recently, actually, on episode 125. Now, have you noticed that most of these composers we met within the past 10 episodes?
Seems like, yeah.
Yeah, isn't that great? He's a 27-year-old composer out of Estonia, and he's been doing music for about 12 years. His main instrument is guitar, but he also sings and plays drums. More recently, he's been trying to play more piano for the simple reason that he's been composing more for the piano.
That's a good reason.
Mm-hmm. He began listening to our show while taking his dog for a walk by the seaside and really got into the episodes about modes and counterpoint. And both he and his girlfriend listened to the show.
Excellent.
And I don't know if you guys remember, but she's actually a harpist and a harp maker. She just recently made her first harp. So
amazing.
That's pretty cool, is it not?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I know someone who wants to meet you.
Oh, yeah. But back to Nikita. What does he have to say, Matt?
So Nikita says, so regarding Waltz for Broken Toys, it's a second piece from a piano cycle I've called Embracing Uncertainty, which consists of 3 pieces, Allegro, Waltz, and Lento. The idea was to explore possibilities of including non-matching elements into tonal harmony. Wow, okay. That's interesting. With either melodic line or extended harmony, as it is in Lento. But overall, it's a nice and simple theme, mostly A, B's, and C before the end. I think it has a nice feel to it and also works well with other pieces from the cycle. Allegro ends on a dominant chord, which blends into the beginning of the waltz. And in Lento, there is a descending melody and chord progression in F minor. Same as in B part of the waltz. The overall form is certainly not a sonata form, and no, I don't think so, but has slight resemblance. What I feel this music is about is stepping out of the place of comfort, going into the unknown, and how it only seems like you have a choice while actually it's an unavoidable force that you can try to protest against, which is quite painful and pointless, or you can accept it and embrace it. So I'm interested in this idea of exploring possibilities of non-matching elements. Because I did hear some interesting dissonances. I think that's part of what makes it sound French to us.
Okay.
And as you know, I'm a big aficionado of polytonality. Yeah, and this piece isn't polytonal, but there are probably places where the implied melody of the chord doesn't match the implied melody of the harmony of the chord is not the same as the implied harmony of the melody. This is what I'm trying to say. That sounds like something that could be at work here, and I think that's a fascinating idea, because it leads to that sort of cognitive dissonance in which those things don't quite match up, and the overall is an effect that he's kind of wanting to achieve programmatically, right? Broken toys, they don't work quite right?
Nice, Matt. Nice.
Yeah, it's so, and the idea of stepping out of a comfort zone, which is into the unknown.
Hey, I got a question for it, because we start off, I think... Or... Either way, it's C-sharp major.
Right, yeah.
But, correct me if I'm wrong, but I swear to God, we ended in F minor.
Well, that's what he says, isn't it? It's like the B section of the waltz is in F minor.
So, from C-sharp major And what is that, 7 sharps?
Yes.
To F minor.
Yes.
That's kind of a leap, is it not? That's unless there's enharmonic namings that make it closer to each other.
So what would be the enharmonic equivalent of C sharp?
D flat.
And where does F stand along the course of D flat?
That's the third.
It's the major third, right?
Uh-huh.
And it would be a minor key even.
Okay, so it was a mediant.
Yeah,
kind of
mediant progression.
Or a modulation?
You could call it that.
Over time, he found his way into F minor. And I guess it happened after that midsection.
Yeah, it's kind of a neo-Riemannian thing, right? D flat to F.
Mm-hmm.
You know, gotta be agile with those enharmonic equivalents.
Yeah.
D flat major to F minor is just the major one to the minor 3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, not just easy potatoes or anything, but not that unusual.
Mm-hmm.
C sharp major to F minor sounds like some kind of weird reverse tritone or something, right?
Is that what you had in mind, Nikita?
But no, it's just a major third.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And not the diminished fourth that you were trying to.
Okay.
Sorry.
Nerd alert.
Yeah, I'm a music theory nerd. If I've established nothing else on this podcast.
Fair enough. That's why they keep coming back, apparently.
Oh yeah. So there you go. I like thinking about that sort of that sort of harmonic relationship and the progression from D flat to F. Right. And why that would sort of happen. You know. So you could think of F as functionally an extension of D flat.
Mm-hmm.
Right. 1 and 3 being a prolongation of 1. Mm-hmm. Right. So I would like to hear the whole suite and hear the because he says that the first movement ends on a 5.
Yeah.
Right. And then it 5 of what? Is it
C sharp major?
So or D flat major, so like A flat?
Yeah.
Right? And then this is all in A flat.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Or A flat and then it moves to D flat.
Yeah.
And then something like that. Yeah.
So Allegro would be in A flat, or maybe Allegro would be in D flat because he ends on no, it would be the 5 of D flat for the next movement. I don't know.
We haven't had enough coffee for this.
No.
But I'm interested in hearing. I'll be interested in his overall key arching scheme because it sounds like he has one.
Yeah.
Which kind of perks my ears up a little bit.
Let's see if we can figure out what's going on while we listen to it again.
Let's
do. And like Nikita says, he's not really up to speed on piano enough to give this piece its due. So he called upon the talents of Hugo Chapelain.
Nice.
Whom he wishes to credit. Hugo, out of France, is a first-year student at the Lithuanian Academy of Music and Theater. According to Nikita, Hugo is an accomplished classical pianist who plays really good Debussy and Chopin.
Excellent.
Which is perfect for this piece, don't you think?
Absolutely.
These two met at the Academy and developed a bit of a musician-composer collaboration.
Wonderful.
And one more thing I'll say about Hugo is one of the things that made me, aside from the composition itself, the music itself, that made it sound French was his inflections, this kind of da-da, da-da,
yeah.
da-da, da-da.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the dynamics he uses is really just phenomenal. It's like it takes a lot of subtlety to get the right notes just loud enough and the right notes just quiet enough to really capture that feel.
Yeah.
You know, that French.
Yeah, and you're right. He does that very, very well.
Yeah. So listen for that also. Great work, people. Let's get it going again. This is Waltz for Broken Toys with commentary. All right, so we got this nice little ambient intro bit here.
I mean, it sounds like introductory material. I wonder if this is from the first movement.
Or maybe a fragment.
I love that. That sounded like a 7 of 5 to 5 or a 7 of 1 to 1. I really love that.
Yeah, it was something leading up to this.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. This is the A section of our waltz.
Right.
Repeat.
Yeah, I'm interested in what that. It's not like a diminished chord or something.
Mm-hmm.
It moves.
B section right here. Back to the repeat
Yeah.
A section of the waltz. It really drags me in.
Yeah.
This makes me smile.
He's moving to F minor in that, what do you call the B section. Yeah.
C sharp major to F minor, huh?
Yeah.
Or there's a walk.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
He did speak of this. Cool turnaround.
Yeah.
I know there's chromaticism going on. I'm just not sure with my ears what exactly it is. And that's kind of key to that style of music, really.
Yeah. There's a lot of chromatic passing tones and
Passing tones.
yeah.
The dynamics.
Yeah.
Really big to really small.
And now we're distinctly in F minor, right?
Yeah, you're feeling it right now?
Yeah. Yeah, we're about to. That's 164 to 5/7.
So for an F minor,
And then this is the A section. He's teasing that we never did really resolve in that key to which we'd modulated, right?
yeah.
We will at the end.
So we're back to C sharp major, but an octave up in that melody.
Yeah.
There's a subtle speeding up and slowing down kind of going on here, which kind of makes me think about Broken Toys winding down.
Yeah.
And speaking of winding down, we're kind of closing this down. And if we are in C sharp major, or more simply D flat major, ending on an F minor would be ending on the 3. Ending with a little suspension figure.
Yeah.
So what? Yeah. Yeah, F minor.
F minor.
Tricky.
Kind of like a reverse Picardy third.
Reverse Picardy third. Oh, my lord.
And I heard there is actually a technical music theory name for the Picardy third in reverse.
So just tell us what the Picardy third is first off.
So the Picardy third is when a minor piece of music ends on the major 1 chord.
So if we were at F minor,
Yeah.
and then ends
Yes. Right.
with that major third instead of
Is a
third.
Picardy third.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And then so the reverse of a Picardy third would be a minor ending, or a major composition ending on a minor chord, which is what just happened.
Killer.
And there is a technical name for that.
Broken?
Ricardy third.
Ricardy third, really?
No.
Are you getting starched? Are you doing a next generation joke? Oh my lord, Doctor Captain.
You took me so seriously.
Captain
That was great.
Dude, this is about as nerdy as we've gotten, man. Star
it is
Trek
getting
reference.
pretty nerdy. It's getting pretty nerdy at this point.
Oh man. Well, we won't make them suffer that much longer. We're coming to a close, y'all.
Yeah,
We got one more.
Probably for the best.
Yeah. These jokes aren't getting any better. They got to be coming back for the theory because the jokes are just...
Because the jokes are boring.
All right. Again, thank you, Nikita Menkov from Estonia, and Hugo Chaplin, if that's how you pronounce it. I'm just trying to use what I think is a French pronunciation. Out of France.
Thank you for a beautiful piece.
And if you want to hear more beautiful music from Nikita, you can find him on YouTube and SoundCloud, as is Nikita Menkov. That's Nikita Menkov. Okay, so we're going to close it up with another collaboration.
Yes.
Devin Montes of Long Beach, California, and his friend Eduardo Reyes.
Nice.
Have created this piece called Unhinged.
And I like it.
Yeah, we listened to it, of course, before,
right,
as we do. And there's a lot of really cool, smooth stuff about this.
Yes.
A lot of smooth elements. We first met Devin on episode 127. And like I said, I don't know if you guys remember, but he and his partner had just welcomed their newborn son, Ozzy Katsumi, into this realm. And that would make Ozzy about 8 or 9 months old at the time of this release.
Wow.
So I'm sure he still has his hands full.
I bet.
But Devin has always been self-taught. He tried college, but it wasn't for him at the time. And at age 27, back in 2019, he began learning to read music.
Oh, very nice.
Fast forward to today, where he is soon to receive a BA in film composition at Berkeley Online.
Excellent.
Devin Montes and his friend Eduardo Reyes have a project they call the Monterey. See what they did?
Yeah, nice.
What does Devin have to say, Matt?
Devin says, I first learned about the podcast from my former professor, Professor Welch, who was my theory instructor at Victor Valley College. Professor Welch is an exceptional viola teacher who has played a crucial role in my musical journey. Not only did he provide invaluable guidance, but he also wrote me a letter of recommendation, which greatly contributed to my acceptance into Berkeley Online. I've attached a track my buddy Eduardo Reyes and I composed for our project, The Monterey. It's a fusion of our last names. The track is called Unhinged. I would like that one used for the listener's episode. I did the vocals and guitar. He played the bass, keys, and drums. We've been jamming together since childhood. We are using Keyscape with the Patch Roads LA Custom and Omnisphere patches, Heaven Shores, warm mid pads, Afterthought, and thumb bass with the bass plugin Trillion. The song is in A minor, and we are literally only using 2 chords, the minor 1 and the minor 5. My mate Eduardo works at Apple as a tech, and I currently work at Surf City Music as a guitar teacher in Orange County. We are currently working on new material.
So new material coming up from these guys. And
excellent.
I mean, even the stuff they did a few years ago, I was checking out their website and their YouTube, or they got videos on their pages.
Yeah.
And amazing production value. Like I said, their videos, they got like drone shots and all that stuff.
Nice.
But the music itself is just really, really well done.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're recording this at their homes or if they're going to a studio, but either way, it sounds really darn good.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, man, I can't say enough good things about these guys, and I hope they continue to do what they're doing. And you'll hear it. You'll hear what we're talking about in a few seconds. But as he was saying, we're in the key of A minor, and then we go to 5, the minor 5, mind you.
Right, the minor 5.
Which that's the second time we've heard this happen in the show.
It is.
Second time we've heard a song mainly based on that.
I always say it is impossible to overstate the significance of the relationship between the 1 and the 5.
Yeah, but the minor 5 has got this kind of weaker, more vague thing going on, doesn't it?
It doesn't, to an extent. But, in a lot of popular music, the minor 5 is diatonic in the minor mode. And in a lot of popular music, it really is more prevalent than the altered major 5 that you see in so much classical music. That's really kind of a classical music thing.
The major 5?
The major 5.
Major 5, I see.
Yeah, the minor 5 is really as prominent, if not in some cases a little more prominent in most popular music, it seems to me.
Right. Because, if we're A minor, that's the 1, and this would be what he's doing, the minor 5.
Right.
But what you're hearing more in Baroque or classical music would be, they would be going to
exactly
this major 5, back to 1. So yeah, man. And then let's check out these lyrics. You're so maniacal, your life is full of lies. I'll burn a match and pull the light right out of your eyes. I'll burn a match and pull the light right out your eyes. I heard you turn the page and now you rage inside. Use the words you wrote to close the hole you hide. I might be wrong, but I hate it. So, not a good day for male songwriters with their relationships
Apparently
on the
not.
show. This must have been either he and his partner made up and had Ozzy Katsumi, or this was a past relationship.
Yeah. Something happened.
Or you don't
Or
always.
he's just writing songs from stream of consciousness. Yeah, I mean.
You don't always. In fact, I think a hallmark of a good songwriter is writing songs about other people's situations.
Maybe so,
Maybe
yeah.
even a situation you've never been into.
Exactly.
Stan Rogers is one of my favorites in that regard. You know.
Yeah.
But enough about that.
Enough about that. Are we ready to hear?
Yeah, let's go ahead and hear this piece. We're going to close out with this, and we want to thank all of our composers:
Thank you all very, very much. Wonderful music. Please keep up the good work.
Fred Lancia, Mark Christie, Evan Bjork, Tom Richardson, Nikita Menkov, and closing out with Devin Montes and his band, The Monterey, who you can find on social media and all platforms, all streaming platforms, Spotify, whatnot. It's The Monterey, Monterey. So, this is Unhinged.
You're so maniacal, your life is full of lies. I'll burn a match and pull the light right out your eyes. I heard you turn the page and now you rage inside. Use the words you wrote to close the hole you hide. I might be wrong, but I hate it. Stop sign, I'ma go offline, I'ma be free. Parted with your own life, I'ma do alright, I'ma be king. I seen her from the backside, I'ma move on now, I'ma go weak. I took her for the way she looked across me and put it on me. Yeah, you're so maniacal.